What's the most heartbreaking message text you ever received? A friend that I had a huge crush on back in the day used to do all sorts of little things to make me feel special. We spent tons of time together, and it really seemed like she was interested in me as well and just taking things slow. One day she accidentally sent a text to me that was meant for someone else, and it was just a long hurtful rant about me, just totally picking me apart. I replied, wow, and she never replied back. It was super shitty, and that was it. We weren't friends anymore. I was left very deflated and confused. 20-ish years later, I'm so glad I got that text and moved on. My cousin we always called each other sisters was killed in a car accident on her way to our grandma's Christmas dinner party in 2013. It happened while I was traveling, and I found out when I got to my grandma's and everyone was crying. It was the worst day of my life. I didn't have internet on my cell for 3 or 4 days until I got home and it automatically connected to my Wi-Fi. I got a Snapchat notification from my cousin. It was her beautiful face, smiling, telling me she couldn't wait to see me at Grandma's Christmas party. It was going to be so fun. It broke me. My partner gave me the phone saying it was my uncle. My mum had collapsed and it wasn't looking good. Luckily I was already at the hospital she'd been taken to, under supervision for my triplet C-section 8 days later. She was only alive by machines by the time I made my way over to her ward. This also reminded me of eating dinner when I was 11 and getting the phone call that our classmate had passed from back cancer, which she's been fighting the last few months. I can still remember that knot in my throat or chest that I couldn't shift for hours. A little over a month ago, I went through a breakup. I asked her, how long have you been lying when you've said you loved me? And she said, I didn't want to be lying. It literally felt like my heart was burning. Fast forward a month though, and she comes back to me and says she still loves me. Always did and always will. She apologized for everything hurtful she said during our breakup and everything she did wrong during our relationship. But she didn't ask to be together again. Now I'm just left hoping she'll come back to me. The text that my best friend had been shot and killed by the police. He didn't do anything wrong. Cops broke into his house with stun grenades when he was sleeping to serve a warrant. Warrant was for his roommate's boyfriend who never even lived there. He told his girlfriend to hide in the closet and grabbed his gun, and the cops shot him on sight. His family still hasn't been able to see the body cam footage and has sued the police department for it, and they keep giving them the runaround. Fuck cops. My best friend's husband texting me to tell me she passed. Longest 5 minutes of my life waiting for him to type again after sending I wish I wasn't typing. This to you right now, from her phone. She'd been fighting cancer for about 9 months. I was so delusional throughout and never entertained she wouldn't beat it, cause she was only 33 and was healthy otherwise. It completely destroyed me, and my heart was so utterly broken for her husband and her little 2-year-old son, who will never remember her. Not a text but a phone call. We were 5 minutes away from the hospital when my cousin called my mum to let us know my grandpa passed. It was in 2020 when COVID was really bad and he passed from complications of it. He died alone. My cousin was at the hospital, but they wouldn't let anyone be with him. I was devastated and have never cried that hard over losing someone before. I was super close with my grandpa and his death still destroys me if I think too much about it. Wanted to let you know I had a stroke at lunch today from my dad at like 3 p.m. on a weekday. I saw the text and thought his autocorrect screwed up. After not hearing back from him for 2 hours, it was nothing but confusion, heartbreak and fear. Eventually I got a hold of him, and a year of recovery later, including a quadruple bypass. He's doing well. If you ever have a stroke or a heart attack, don't just casually text loved ones like it's no big deal. Call them FFS. Heartbreaking saying loosely and weird. My biological father, who lives in Mexico, who was me my entire life, was shot and killed during a carjacking due to drugs that involved the driver. He wasn't involved in the foul play. He was just getting a ride. Got a Facebook message from a cousin about it. Incredibly weird feeling. It's sad, but I never really knew him. I cried more for my hamster when he died than I did for my father. I was at the pool with my 2-year-old son, went to get a drink out of my bag and noticed 50 missed calls on my phone. I opened my phone, checked voicemail, a message from my husband. He was for hours away on a work trip, subbing. My dad and my brother were killed in a car accident together. It was the single most heartbreaking thing I've ever heard in my life. The world has never been the same since. My ex's mum, whom I'm still very close to and is more a mum to me than my actual mother, messaged me on Facebook. Their daughter died. I literally burst into tears in the McDonald's drive-thru. I literally used to go visit her and the dog every weekend after my ex and me broke up. We were friends, so it wasn't weird, and I'd take her for car rides and walks and to the beach to go swimming. Day before Thanksgiving 2022, they found my mum dead on her bedroom floor, stopped taking her insulin and went into a diabetic coma and never woke up. My birthday, February 18, 2023. My grandmom's mum finally passed after a 15-year battle with leukemia and breast cancer. 2 really shitty messages on Facebook because my shitty family couldn't be bothered to call. Besides my sister. My friend sent me a screenshot of a Facebook post our friend S's brother had made announcing that S's death. I had just seen S a few weeks before for the first time in years, and we kind of rekindled a high school romance from 20 years earlier. I didn't know about our recent history, and we didn't know at the time that S had taken his own life. I just fell apart immediately. Years ago, got a message that one of my closest friends had died in a car crash. Our friend group was devastated. It was awful and shocking. Fast forward a few weeks later, she admitted that she was the one sending that message and had lied to us all to get attention and see if we cared. The rest of our friend group forgave her quickly. I never did. Years ago, when my father got sick, I went to work as usual. But then, my cousin messaged me saying they rushed him to the emergency room. I quickly took a taxi to see him, although he was unconscious. I stayed with him until he passed away the next day. I didn't realize it would be the last time I'd see him alive. I'm going to kill myself tonight from an online friend. Never met him in person, but I've known him for almost 3 years. Managed to talk him out of it, fortunately, but he tried again a few months later, without telling me first. He's getting help now apparently. Feels kinda shitty knowing there's nothing you can do. Girl I dated for nearly 3 years broke up with me. That was rough, but the worst was when she texted me by Felicia Law. I'm sure she was drunk, and I was most likely to, which was bad for us anyway. I just thought it was so childish and like, really, that's all I'm gonna get after that. My parents once told me I was the worst daughter ever. That I was selfish and narcissistic at the age of 30 because my husband and I bought our own house. I was obviously old enough to realize it was complete bullshit, but figuring out that my parents were bad people was heartbreaking. Had major abdominal surgery and was finally released from the hospital late the night before. Woke up in a lot of pain, but checked FB. Put my phone down and walked slowly to the bathroom. Ringer was off. My dad called while in the midst of a massive heart attack and I missed the call. Can I call you? Got that from my mom. And I knew something was wrong. Got told on that phone call that my parents would be putting down my childhood dog a few days later. It was for the best. She was old, had diabetes, and was going blind, just hurt like a motherfucker. My ex-boyfriend sent me a text letting me know that my best friend had passed away. His family didn't have my contact information, so they weren't able to contact me and tell me what happened. I literally fell to the floor, curled up in a fetal position and sobbed. Over text, my wife of 18 years saying she didn't want to be with me anymore. She moved in with a mutual friend and they've been together ever since. Worst part was my teen daughter watching me fall apart because mom didn't have room for her where she was staying. My now ex thought I was breaking up with him because I didn't respond fast enough for him to a text, something random and unimportant. He knew I was eating lunch with a friend I hadn't seen in years. My reply was breaking up with him. I haven't seen him since. A view from a girl who told me the day after Valentine's Day that I was just a side piece. She still tried to keep getting into my pants after that. Couldn't sleep right for a while. Fuck that bitch. It's over, sweetheart. It's all done. From my mum telling me my sister was dead, taken off life support. We were too far away and couldn't be there. I can't stand knowing neither of us were there. I'm so sorry, Nikki. I love you so much. Today I was venting about work via text to a friend, and he responded to a wall of texts with "Okay bro." That hurt my feelings enough to immediately delete all the messages and him from my phone. I'm still a little bothered by it. And frankly, leaving this earth doesn't sound like the worst idea. Heaven is better than this shit called life anyway. It was from my girlfriend, last night. She's still alive if anyone wants to know. He's gone. Had a friend for years and years. Talked to him about a lot of stuff. He and I both had trouble with depression. He got drunk and walked into traffic to commit suicide. He was successful. You aren't grieving what we had. You're grieving your ego and how you are perceived. I'm grieving who I thought you were from someone I loved deeply. And the saddest part is that she was right. Hey Atrabio Fabricantes. XXX was in an accident last night. He didn't make it. Call me soon. My best friend's mom calling me the night after he passed away in a self-inflicted car wreck. A message asking me if I knew where my husband was this morning. He was traveling for work and met someone. She was the one to let me know that she was waking up in his bed every day. I went to check voicemail while waiting for my breakfast order in a diner. I had a message from a friend's mom letting me know she had passed away. I got the food to go. Sitting at work. Got a text from my husband. We got married too fast. We have nothing in common. I think we should get a divorce. I was absolutely blindsided.